What is going on, everybody? It is Fonz Falco, host of Four Corners Review and Preview. And no, I don't just talk pro wrestling. I also talk NFL, particularly the draft, and I love the NFL draft. Now, if you remember last week, I did a video on Hendon Hooker. You want to check that out if you haven't already. And we've had a bunch of other draft prospect profiles throughout this YouTube channel. So definitely check all of them out if you haven't. Today, we're going to be highlighting the top running back in this class, arguably one of the better players heading into the draft. That's Bijan Robinson. The former Texas Longhorn, listed at 5'11", 220 pounds, 3-year starter for the Longhorns. And let me tell you, this guy is something special. He had a lot of hype heading into the 2022 season, and he definitely lived up to that hype with 258 carries for 1,580 yards to go along with 18 touchdowns. Not only that, he was a good receiving back with 19 catches for 314 yards and 2 touchdowns. And throughout his 3-year run with the Texas Longhorns, he had a very, very good career stat-wise. 539 carries for 3,410 yards and 33 touchdowns to go along with 60 catches, 805 yards, and 8 touchdowns with the 31 games he's played in. That 2022 season was very special. He ended up winning the Doak Walker Award, which is the nation's top running back, along with a unanimous All-American selection, first team All Big 12 selection. No doubt about it, this guy was an absolute stud this past season, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what he does at the next level. He didn't do a whole lot at the combine when it comes to the bench press and the cone drills, but his 40 time at 4.46, that's pretty solid for a running back, and he had a vertical jump of 37 inches and a 10.4 long jump. This guy's a freak athlete, man. He was a consistent bell cow back for Texas, and there's comparisons to him to Josh Jacobs, formerly with Alabama, now with the Raiders. It's a pretty solid comparison because Jacobs was an all-around bell cow for Alabama, and Robinson's pretty much the same thing. You know, we've done a lot of strengths and weaknesses for a lot of the players, even what I did with Hendon Hooker last week. Robinson, there is not a lot of weaknesses here, but there's a ton of strengths for this guy. The main thing here, he has a great combination of size, speed, and power, and he consistently thrashes through the tacklers to turn like small yardage plays into something big. We've seen it countless times. If you go back and watch the film and some of his plays, you think it'd be like a 2-yard run or whatever, ends up going for like 30 or 40 yards. You just never know what you're going to get out of this guy. On top of that, he has very good ball carrier vision, which again is very essential for a running back. He's able to find the open lane with ease and find the open lane with the blocks and goes to the house every single time. And when he sees the open lane and the open hole, he finds it perfectly. And once he finds it, he just bursts off to the scene every single time. He's a very patient runner and also has very good quick feet. So he will definitely rely on his offensive line. He definitely trusts them, no doubt about it. You saw it at Texas. So wherever team he goes, he's going to trust that offensive line to find like the pulling guard and the tackles that move over to find the open lane. He will find it. He's very patient with it. And like I said before, in the short yardage situations, he's willing to fight for those yards every single time. A hard-nosed bruising running back, something that we really don't see today in a lot of NFL running backs. He's one of the rare breeds in today's day and age. A good balance runner, no matter who's tackling, whether it's a nose tackle, safety, linebacker, whoever, the heaviest guy in the field, he'll go through the contact, no doubt about it, and he'll be able to fight through it every single time. And yeah, he has a bigger back at 5'11", 220, but he has a very fast twitch and very fast on his feet, and he can cut with ease. So that's, again, a rare thing that you see with the bigger running back in Robinson. And when it comes to, not running the ball, he's very good at picking up the blitzes. He's definitely good with that. He has a natural instinct to do that because, again, he just seems to love contact, which, again, is perfect when you want to have a big bruising running back, and a really good pass blocker, and also can catch pass at the backfield. Now, 805 career yards total for Texas doesn't seem like a lot. When he needs to be called upon to catch a pass out of the backfield, he can do it. He's a very serviceable 3-down back, which again, I'm going to keep repeating it, you don't really see that a lot in the NFL. And you're going to see in one of the plays I'm going to show later, when he gets the open pass, when he catches it, he'll be able to burst on the scene and find the open lane out of it because he's a very underrated receiving back. And I forgot to mention this part. That stiff arm, I think, is one of the best stiff arms I've ever seen in all of running backs, and you can mark it down right here on this video. Now, while you see I listed a ton of strengths to this guy, he's the complete package of the running back spot. Everybody does have a little bit of weaknesses here and there, but it's really not a lot, and definitely stuff that he can definitely work on at the next level. And while I said he does have quick feet and he can cut on a dime and a good twitch player here and there whenever he needs to kind of find the open lane, his speed, it's not top tier. It's not like Tyreek Hill. It's not one of these speed backs. You will see at times defensive backs be able to catch him, but he can speed past linebackers and defensive linemen, the first level, which is fine. But when he gets to the next level with the secondary, you're going to see them sometimes catch up to him. And while I was saying it's good that he has a lot of the twitch moves, good stutter step, spin move, whatever, there are times too where he doesn't control his movements as much. He kind of just like goes right away and kind of runs and twitches all over. But sometimes he needs to be a little bit patient with it. He'll kind of just, if he sees the open lane and kind of sees the defense there too, he'll just run right into it and try to move out of the way. He's sometimes just not as patient. Carrying on with that, he does a lot of unnecessary motion here and there. Sometimes you can see he does a little bit too much with the play too, which necessarily isn't a bad thing. I think when you get to the next level, you're going to have multiple backs in a system, so that's not going to need to be doing that as much too, but it is a little bit maybe of a concern, but I definitely think he can work on that at the next level. And while yes, he is a good runner at a truck stick and everything too, you can see him running a little bit high up there too. He doesn't really get all the way down too. He plays at a high level, and sometimes that could be a little bit of an issue. You know, sometimes you can see an injury happen here and there. I don't think that's going to happen necessarily. I don't want to wish that upon him, but he needs to kind of lower his pads a little when it comes to getting into contact, because you can see sometimes it could be a little bit of an issue. But again, all those little weaknesses that I mentioned, he can work on. That's really not that big of an issue. He can work at the next level with the elite coaching staff and into the right team. It'll definitely help him out. And if he goes to a team with multiple backs already, he doesn't need to do all this. A lot of pressure, but there's so much strengths outweigh the weaknesses. Now, there's a couple plays that I've seen here that I really, really liked a lot, and you see a lot of them here in the open lane, and one with the pass catching too. Let's take a look at this first one here against UTSA earlier in the season. See there, hikes the ball. Robinson finds the open lane right up the middle, but bounces out to the left side here and just completely. You see the speed though; it's not elite, and you saw him running up a little bit high, but let me tell you, he finds that ball carrier vision, that open lane, it works every single time. You see here at the next play here, multi-man backfield too, hikes the ball here too, runs to the right side here too, goes up the sideline, actually beat out the defender on that one perfectly too. Untouchable. Just one of the many plays that this guy has that is just, I just can't say enough about this guy. I'm really hyped about him, as you can see. See another play here against Oklahoma State here. Perfect there. He looked like he was going to go down. Quickly moves out of it with his quick feet, runs up the open lane. Another touchdown for him, too. Just a bunch of touchdowns and touchdowns. Listen, 18 tutties. They're all really good. And here's the next play I was talking about. Swings out to the right. Literally open right there. And not only that, he has a good yards after catch. Just runs up the sideline perfectly. Finds when he gets open and he catches it, he's gone every single time. And the last play here, just another perfect here. You just see, just bounces and bounces. Perfect. Just every single play I've shown, untouched. And there's so many more plays where he is, a bunch of people are going around him, and he just barrels over all of them. But a lot of these plays that I saw, he's just clean. Shout out to the offensive line there, but still, found the open lane, bounced out, cuts on a dime. You see it every single time. It works. This guy's going to be something next level. So where is he going to go? Where's his projection? Now, if this honestly was 10 years ago, if this was 2003, I think Robinson would be in the competition for the top 5 selection. Honestly, maybe even number 1 overall. But we're in a new era in the NFL where running backs do not get drafted in the first round. You see maybe 1 or 2. And they'd be really in the late first round, teams that have multiple picks or kind of teams that already have a bunch of needs too. Teams don't draft running backs in the top 10 anymore. You just don't really see that anymore. But despite that, in the new era, I still think Robinson, no doubt, is going to be the first running back taken off the board. I will bet money on that. I don't see anybody else taking over Robinson. Now, the earliest I see him going is in the late 20s, late first round, very early second round. If he goes past the early second round, like let's say the top 10 in the second round, that's just a crime, I think. 'Cause that's a steal at that point. So I would say around the 20s, late 20s to early 30s, like that whole end of first, early second round, if anything, too. Again, if this was 10 years ago, I'd say he'd be top 5 pick, but it's a new era now. Much like with Hooker, I'm doing 3 teams that I think would fit perfectly with Bijan Robinson. Now, going on to number 3, the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills for years have had issues in the running game too. Devin Singletary, which has never been the answer, I believe, and now he's left off and go to the Houston Texans. They have James Cook, who I'm really high on, but in the league now, you want to have more than one running back. Can you just imagine Bijan Robinson and James Cook in that backfield? We talked about it for years that Josh Allen needed a number 1 consistent target, and they got it for Stephon Diggs, and look how that panned out. I think he needs a solid running game to help him out because if Allen leads your team in rushing every single week, could be a little bit of an issue. Put Robinson in that backfield along with James Cook, you got something special. That whole offense. Them two, Diggs, Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox, that offense is scary. The second team I got is the Dallas Cowboys, who have the 26th overall pick. Now, the Cowboys, they just let Zeke go. They cut him. They have Tony Pollard there, too, but he's coming off a broken leg. He came off from a devastating leg injury. Can you imagine Robinson in that offense? Him, CeeDee Lamb, Dak has a good running back to just hand the ball off to, and he's a hard-nosed runner that's perfect for Jerry Jones. The Cowboys always like to go with the flashy players, and listen, Texas Longhorns, Dallas Cowboys, it could work out. I think it's a good spot for him. But my number one pick, and I think this is an easy, like match made in heaven, is Los Angeles Chargers. Because right now we don't know what's going to happen on with Austin Eckler. And on paper, the Chargers have so much talent from top to bottom. It's just injuries have been such an unfortunate part of the Chargers for the past couple of years. Now, the Chargers have a little bit of needs on the defensive side, but you don't know what's going to happen with Eckler. He wants to get traded. There might be moving on from him. Can you imagine Robinson in that backfield? Herbert would have a reliable running back to give the ball off to. It'll be a nice replacement for Austin Eckler. I think the Chargers is like a perfect spot for him. The Chargers have a lot of star power all over. Not a lot of depth, but a lot of star starters. Put Robinson in there. That'd be something. Now, what are you guys' thoughts on Bijan Robinson? Do you guys think that he is going to be a star in the NFL? Do you think he's going to be, unfortunately, be a bust? Where do you guys have him? Let me know down below. What do you like about him? What don't you like about him? Which teams do you think he'll fit perfectly with? Did I get these teams right? Am I wrong? Let me know down below. And if you haven't already, definitely give review and preview a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We have a bunch of shows on here, a bunch of live shows throughout the week. We have a bunch of draft prospects. I know Noah Dobb did a bunch with a bunch of Georgia players earlier in the week. Definitely check them out. I did Hendon Hooker last week. Tom's has done a bunch, and we got a bunch more coming up, and I'm looking forward to listen. I'm going to be back for a couple more players, by the way, so keep an eye on them. And if you like my stuff outside of review and preview, I got a podcast, a Slick Back Kickback Report. Get wherever you get your podcast. I have my own YouTube channel, Fonz DeFalco. Definitely listen, support review and preview first, and if you like my stuff, go check out my stuff on the side. I would greatly appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know your thoughts on the NFL Draft. I'm Fonz DeFalco signing off. Have a good day, good night, good evening, whenever you're watching this video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.